This is more reading of Stewart Little the book, and this is chapter 10 called Springtime. Snowbell the cat enjoyed nighttime more than daytime. Perhaps it was because his eyes liked the dark, but I think it was because there was always so many worthwhile things going on in New York at night. Snowbell had several friends in the neighborhood. Some of them were house cats and others were store cats. He knew a Maltese cat at the A&P and a white Persian in the apartment house next door, a tortoiseshell in the delicatessen, a tiger cat in the basement of the branch library, and a beautiful young Angora who had escaped from a cage in a pet shop on 3rd Avenue and had gone to live a free life of her own in the roadhouse of the small park near Stewart's home. In the tool house of the small park near Stewart's home. One fine evening, Snowbell had been calling on the Angora in the park. He started home late and it was such a lovely night. She said she would walk along with him to keep him company. When they got to Mrs. Little's house, two cats sat down at the foot of a tall vine which ran up the side of the house past George's bedroom. This vine was useful to Snowbell because he could climb it at night and crawl through the house through George's open window. Snowbell began to tell his friend about Margalo and Stewart. "Goodness," said the Angora cat, "you mean to say you live in the same house with a bird and a mouse and don't do anything about it?" "That's the situation," replied Snowbell, "but what can I do about it? Please remember that Stewart is a member of the family, and the bird is a permanent guest like myself." "Well," said Snowbell's friends, "all I can say is you've got some more self-control than I have." "Doubtless," said Snowbell. "However, sometimes I think I've got too much self-control for my own good. I've been terribly nervous and upset lately, and I think it's because I'm always holding myself in." The cats' voices grew louder, and they talked so loudly that they never heard a slight rustling in the vine a few feet above their heads. It was a gray pigeon who had been asleep there and who had awakened at the sound of the cats and begun to listen. "This sounds like an interesting conversation," said the pigeon to himself. "Maybe I'd better stay around and see if I can learn something." "Look here," said the Angora cat, say to Snowbell. "I admit that a cat has a duty toward her own people, and that under the circumstance it would be wrong for you to eat Margalo, but I'm not a member of your family, and there's nothing to stop me from eating her, is there?" "Nothing I can think of offhand," said Snowbell. "Well, then here I go," said Angora, starting up the vine. The pigeon was wide awake by this time, ready to fly away, but the voices down below continued. "Wait a minute," said Snowbell. "Don't be in such a hurry. I don't think you'd better go in there tonight." "Why not?" said the other cat. "Well, for one thing, you're not supposed to enter our house. It's unlawful entry and you might get into trouble." "I won't get into any trouble," said the Angora. "Please wait until tomorrow night," said Snowbell. "Mr. and Mrs. Little will be going out for tomorrow night and you won't be taking such a risk. It's for your own good I'm suggesting this." "Oh, all right," said the Angora, "but I guess I can wait. But tell me where I'll find the bird after I do get in. That's simple. Climb the vine, enter George's room through the open window, then go downstairs. You'll find the bird asleep in the Boston fern on the bookcase." "Easy enough," said the Angora, licking her chops. "I'm obliged to you, sir." "Well, that old thing," whispered the pigeon to himself, and he flew away quickly to find a piece of writing paper and a pencil. Snowbell said goodnight to his friend and climbed up the vine and went to bed. The next morning, Margalo found a note on the branch of her fern when she woke. It said, "Beware of a strange cat who will come by night." It was signed, "A Well-Wisher." She kept the note under her wing all day long and wondered what she'd better do, but she didn't dare show anyone, not even to Stewart. She couldn't eat, she was so frightened. "What had I better do?" she kept saying to herself. Finally, just before dark, she hopped up into an open window and without saying anything to anybody, she flew away. It was springtime and she flew north just as fast as she could fly, because something inside her told her that north was the way for a bird to go when spring comes to the land. That's the end of chapter 10. In the next chapter, they search for Margalo.